The Legend of Jigong, Chapter 23.
Picture this. You are standing in the grandest mansion in the capital.
Right.
And you are looking at the highest official in the land, a prime minister. And beneath all the silk and ceremony, he is just, well, he is absolutely desperate.
Yeah, completely out of options.
Exactly. His son is deathly ill with this bizarre disease, and standard elite medicine has completely failed him.
It has done nothing.
Right. So out of sheer agonizing desperation, he sends his men to arrest a destitute, seemingly crazy monk to come and cure him.
And this is where the visual contrast is just so striking.
Oh, it really is. Because the monk is dragged into this opulent room and he's wearing heavy iron chains, completely surrounded by armed guards.
On paper, the power dynamic is obvious.
Right. If you are watching this, you would think, okay, the prime minister holds all the cards. The monk is a prisoner.
But that is not what happens at all.
No, not even close. Because the moment this chained monk steps into the room, that dynamic completely flips. I mean, without throwing a single punch, without raising an army, this prisoner takes total, absolute control of the prime minister, his household, and his military forces.
It is a stunning reversal. And, if you really look at the mechanics of it, it's the kind of scenario that forces you to completely reevaluate what actual power looks like.
Okay, let's unpack this.
We are conditioned to assume power is the iron chains, right? The armed guards, the imposing title.
Yeah, the stuff you can see. The hard power.
Exactly. But what we are looking at in this text, we have this incredible excerpt from the classic tale of Jigong, specifically chapter 23, is a masterclass in how those physical structural markers of authority can be systematically dismantled.
Right, it shows how true power doesn't always flow from the top down. So we are going to deconstruct exactly how this works. How does a prisoner use psychological dominance, weaponized wit, and sheer audacity to completely subvert the highest authority in the room?
And it all starts with a very tense physical scene.
It does. We have Dr. Li Huaichun. He's the physician who actually recommended this monk, Jigong, to Prime Minister Qin in the first place.
Which puts the doctor in a terrible position.
Oh, he must be sweating bullets. So the doctor brings Jigong in, and Jigong is literally standing there in iron chains.
Right, and Dr. Li Huaichun is clearly trying to manage a highly volatile situation. He understands the extreme danger of bringing a chaotic element like Jigong into the presence of a man who can order executions with just, a wave of his hand.
Just snap his fingers and it's over.
Yeah. So the doctor politely greets Jigong, calls him master, and essentially begs him to look past the chains and treat the prime minister's son, Xin Huan.
He's pleading with him.
He is. The doctor says, whatever happens, please do it for my sake. He is trying to appeal to a sense of personal loyalty or maybe professional courtesy.
Just to get this terrifyingly unpredictable monk to cooperate and do the job.
And Jigong's response immediately sets the tone for everything that follows.
It's so brilliant. He looks at the doctor and says, oh, so when you treat patients, you get locked up in chains, too.
He just completely calls out the absurdity.
Right. He refuses to play along with the polite fiction the doctor is trying to establish. You don't drag a healer into a room in irons and then expect a gentle bedside manner.
But it's not just him being difficult. It is deeply strategic.
Wait, really? Because part of me wonders, is Jigong just angry, or is there a specific game plan here?
Oh, there's absolutely a game plan. What's fascinating here is how Jigong immediately rejects the premise of the entire interaction.
How so?
Well, the prime minister and the doctor, they want to focus on the medical emergency, right? They want Jigong to step into the role of a service provider.
Like, fix my son, please?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Jigong refuses to even acknowledge his role as a healer until his status as a prisoner is addressed. He is drawing a hard, uncrossable line. He's saying you cannot demand my specialized life-saving skills while simultaneously treating me like a criminal.
Wow, so he forces them to acknowledge the contradiction in their own behavior right out of the gate.
He does. And so the doctor panics. He realizes he can't force the issue.
Because Jigong isn't going to budge.
Right. So the doctor turns and asks Prime Minister Qin to take the chains off. And surprisingly, Qin complies.
The chains are removed. And I'm reading this thinking, great, crisis averted. The doctor thinks, Master, you have nothing to complain about now. Let's go see the patient.
But Jigong doesn't move an inch.
Not an inch. He says, wait, My master, my senior brothers, my junior brothers, they're all sitting in jail right now, suffering. How can I possibly have the peace of mind to cure anyone?
If you are analyzing negotiation tactics, this is a textbook example of salami slicing.
Salami slicing, like taking it one piece at a time.
Precisely. You don't ask for your ultimate massive demand right out of the gate because the opposition will flatly refuse. You ask for one thin slice at a time.
So the first slice was personal physical freedom.
Yes. Remove my chains. That's a relatively small concession for the prime minister to make when his son's life is on the line.
Right, it seems reasonable in the moment.
But critically, once Qin has conceded that first point, he has established a pattern of yielding.
He's already given ground.
Exactly. Once that pattern exists, Jigong asks for the next slice. He says, I need the freedom of my fellow monks.
It's like he's stress testing the prime minister's desperation.
And the prime minister is clearly desperate enough because he immediately orders all the other monks to be released from jail and sent back to their temple.
So again, Dr. Li Huaichun breathes a massive sigh of relief. He's thinking, okay, master, now you really have nothing to complain about. We gave you your friends back. Let's go.
But Jigong is just getting warmed up.
He really is, because now that he has secured his personal freedom and the freedom of his immediate circle, he goes for the massive geopolitical goal.
This is the core conflict that landed him in chains in the first place.
Right. Jigong looks at them and says, soldiers have surrounded Lingyan Temple. You are tearing down my temple's great still pavilion. How can I willingly cure anyone under these conditions?
This is a wild escalation.
It really is wild. This is like a hostage negotiation, but the hostage is the one making the demands.
That is a great way to put it.
I mean, he's sitting there, having just been unchained a minute ago, and he is dictating military terms to the highest official in the land. He demands the troops be withdrawn and the demolition stopped.
And the craziest part is that the prime minister actually does it.
He does. He sends out official orders to pull back the troops and stand down the demolition crew.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we are watching a profound clash between hard power and soft power.
Right, because the prime minister has all the hard power.
Exactly. He has armed soldiers, he has demolition crews, he has the institutional authority to throw anyone in jail. Jigong has zero hard power.
Nothing but the clothes on his back.
Right? But what he does have is an absolute monopoly on a highly specific, desperately needed resource. The ability to cure the prime minister's son.
Which is the soft power.
Yes. Jigong recognizes that in this specific agonizing moment, his soft power completely neutralizes the prime minister's military might.
Okay, I follow that, but I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure.
Is Prime Minister Qin actually being outplayed, or is he just acting the way any desperate parent would?
That's a really good question.
I mean, if my child were dying, I would agree to literally anything in the moment just to get the doctor into the room. Does Qin actually feel threatened by this monk's negotiation?
That is the crucial question, and the text actually gives us a look directly inside Qin's head.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, his internal monologue reveals that he does not feel outplayed at all.
Interesting.
He complies, but he assumes he's just indulging a madman. He thinks to himself that if the monk cures his son and he doesn't tear down the pavilion afterward, he'll be a laughingstock.
Oh, because his servants were beaten and he locked this monk up.
Exactly. His pride dictates that he cannot let that go. So his internal plan is entirely cynical. He thinks, I will let the monk cure my son today, and tomorrow I am going to send the troops right back and tear down that pavilion anyway.
So he thinks he's just humoring a fool.
He thinks he holds the ultimate trump card because he controls the army.
He thinks, I'll give this crazy guy whatever he wants right now, and the second my kid is better, I'm bringing the hammers right back out.
Right.
But Jigong doesn't seem to operate under the illusion that the prime minister is suddenly a good guy. Right.
Not for a second.
Because having just forced the withdrawal of an entire army, Jigong stands up, laughs out loud, and decides to rub salt in the wound with a little musical number.
It is a remarkable moment of psychological dominance.
It is bonkers.
He doesn't just win the negotiation and quietly walk to the sick room. He decides to put on a theatrical show to highlight the absurdity of the man he just forced to yield.
He starts singing a folk song, right? A rural mountain song right in the prime minister's face.
Yes, and the lyrics of this song are completely savage.
They really are. He sings about a quote-unquote first man in a black hat and silk sash, someone who wears purple robes and still thinks his incredibly high rank is too small.
It's a direct attack on Qin's vanity.
He sings that human greed is like ocean waves, right? It just keeps coming, and you can't measure it.
The imagery in the song is incredibly pointed and designed to provoke. He contrasts a bird flying thousands of feet into the clouds, completely free and able to see everything objectively, with fat pigs being fed rich grease.
Oh, wow, fat pigs?
Yeah, the pigs think they are full and happy, but they are just being fattened for the slaughter. He concludes the song by saying the world is full of people who are too blind to turn back from their errors.
So he's looking right at this incredibly wealthy, powerful prime minister in his literal purple robes, and he's basically calling him a greedy, fattened pig who doesn't realize he's walking into a slaughterhouse of his own making.
Exactly.
And he's doing it in a sing-song voice. How does the prime minister not just execute him on the spot for that?
What's fascinating here is the prime minister's reaction. The text notes that Qin secretly nods to himself.
Wait, he nods.
He does. He realizes the song is a direct insult, but he also realizes it proves the monk is highly intelligent.
Oh, because it's so cleverly constructed.
Right. This isn't just a rambling fool. This is someone who sees right through the trappings of wealth and office. Jigong is calling out the absurdity of the prime minister's vanity, and the prime minister actually registers the critique intellectually, even if he has no intention of changing his plans.
So it shifts Qin's perception.
Yes, from dealing with a madman to dealing with an eccentric genius.
Which makes the anticipation for the actual medical examination even higher. So, after this deeply insulting musical interlude, they finally make their way to the West Garden, to the study where young Master Qin Huan is resting.
And you can feel the tension in the text.
Oh, totally. They can hear him coughing violently from outside the room. Jigong walks into the room, takes one look at the kid, and says, "Whoa, that is a huge head. This is terrible."
You can imagine the collective gasp in the room.
Dr. Li Huaichun must be absolutely terrified.
He must be. He's thinking, I went through all this trouble, I staked my professional reputation on this guy, and if he fails to cure the boy, my life is forfeit.
Right. And the prime minister is equally shocked by the bluntness. He demands to know if the monk can actually cure the illness.
Jigong is so casual about it.
He is. He says, "Oh yeah, I can cure it, no problem. This is just a size 3 big head. I can even cure a size 1 big head."
The way he names it is so important.
He gives the disease this incredibly undignified, almost comical name, Big Head Jar.
The naming of the disease is a crucial part of Jigong's strategy.
Why is that?
Well, think about elite medicine. Diseases are given complex, formal names to elevate the status of the physician and mystify the process.
Right, to sound professional.
Exactly. By calling it Big Head Jar, Jigong is stripping away any dignity or mystery from the illness. But more importantly, he explicitly connects this physical deformity to moral decay.
Ah, I see.
He doesn't describe it as an infection or a tragic imbalance of humors. He tells a very specific story.
He does. He says, "I know this disease because a guy named Wang Yuanwei had a son who caught it."
And then he drops a massive bomb in the middle of the
A
room.
huge bomb. He says anyone who gets this disease is definitely not a good person. They only get it if they are out in the world committing crimes, acting like a thug, and specifically kidnapping and assaulting young women.
This is a devastating, highly calculated moment.
Because he's talking about the prime minister's son.
Yes, the text makes an explicit causal link between predatory, immoral behavior and this specific physical deformation, the big head jar.
Wow.
Jigong is standing in the prime minister's house, looking at the prime minister's son, and diagnosing him not just with an illness, but with severe, violent moral corruption.
I have to stop you there because as a modern reader, I'm trying to wrap my head around this.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Is big head jar meant to be understood as a real medical condition in the context of the story? Or is Jigong just using this as an excuse to call the prime minister's son a violent predator right to his face?
That's the core issue here.
Because if it's the latter, he's basically bypassing the entire justice system.
It is absolutely the latter. Based on the text, the medical reality of the disease is entirely secondary to its moral implication.
So it's a metaphor made literal.
Exactly. Jigong is weaponizing the diagnosis as a mechanism for truth-telling. In that society, the prime minister has the power to shield his son from any legal consequences. He's likely ignoring or covering up his horrific behavior because of his elite status.
Because no judge or police officer would dare touch the prime minister's kid.
Right. So Jigong bypasses the father's political protection entirely by diagnosing the sins of the son as an undeniable medical fact.
That is so smart.
He forces the father to confront the reality that the son's physical suffering is a direct result of his hidden crimes.
That is incredibly bold. He traps the prime minister.
He does.
If Qin denies his son is a monster, he essentially has to deny the diagnosis and reject the cure.
Right, which he can't afford to do.
Right, and then right after dropping this massive accusation, Jigong reaches into his pocket to get the medicine, pats himself down and says, "Oh no, I lost the medicine."
The timing is just perfect.
I mean, the comedic timing of this is unbelievable, but it has to be intentional, right?
It's a brilliantly executed delay tactic. He claims the medicine was just a tiny pill the size of a grain of millet, the color of melon skin.
Basically invisible.
And he says it wasn't even wrapped in protective paper. He suggests it must have fallen out when he was being violently dragged to the mansion in iron chains.
Which is a very subtle, sharp way of saying this entire crisis is your fault for arresting me in the first place.
Exactly. It throws the blame right back onto the prime minister.
And the prime minister goes into an absolute panic. He orders all his wealthy, dignified servants to get down on their hands and knees and search the floor for this invisible, microscopic pill.
Which is a very humiliating visual.
Oh, entirely. And Jigong just watches them crawl around, intentionally heightening the tension. He turns to the prime minister and says, "You know, this is just a size 3 big head right now, but if it mutates into a full-size big head, there is absolutely no cure in the world."
Notice what he's doing here.
Yeah.
He is artificially manufacturing a crisis timeline.
Raising the stakes.
Yes, he has established the ultimate stakes, an incurable mutation, and he has established that the only cure is currently missing due to the prime minister's own heavy-handed tactics.
Wow.
The prime minister, who normally controls the fate of thousands, is now entirely at the mercy of Jigong's arbitrary timeline.
So the prime minister's sweating, asking, what do we do? How do we stop it from mutating?
And Jigong's response is so mundane.
It is. He says, well, I can't treat him on an empty stomach. If I try to cure him while I'm hungry, the disease will just get worse.
So he demands to be fed.
Right. So the battlefield shifts entirely. We move from the desperate atmosphere of the sick room to the grand dining room.
And this transition is vital to understanding Jigong's overarching strategy.
How so?
Well, the sick room is a place of anxiety and desperation for the prime minister. By moving to the dining hall, Jigong changes the arena to a place of formal ritual, wealth, and strict social hierarchy.
Right, a place where the prime minister is used to being the boss.
Exactly, a domain he believes he controls completely.
So the prime minister orders a massive banquet. He sets up 3 full tables of elaborate food in the main hall, just for this one monk.
3 tables.
3. Dr. Li Huichun and Jigong walk into the hall, and Jigong doesn't even hesitate. He doesn't offer a polite decline. He doesn't wait to be formally seated as a guest.
He just goes for it.
He walks straight to the absolute head of the main table, the seat of highest honor, and sits down.
If you think about the cultural context, in any traditional setting, seating arrangements are a literal, physical manifestation of hierarchy.
The head seat means you are in charge.
Right. The head seat belongs to the master of the house, the patriarch, the person with the most authority. By taking that seat without a single word of humility or hesitation, this destitute, ragged monk is visually and physically usurping the prime minister's authority within his own home.
He's claiming mastery over this space.
Yes.
And the prime minister definitely notices. The text says he feels a sharp flash of displeasure. He thinks to himself, I am the current prime minister of the dynasty, and this ragged monk is taking my seat.
Right, he can't do anything about it.
Right, because his son is dying in the next room. He has to bite his tongue, take a subordinate seat as a companion, and put Dr. Li Huichun on the eastern side.
Qin is furious, but he pacifies himself by reasoning that he can outsmart this monk later.
He's still clinging to his ego.
Exactly. He believes he is temporarily indulging a madman for a greater goal. He still clings to the belief that his education and status make him superior.
But Jigong isn't just eating, is he?
No, he's setting a psychological trap.
After a few rounds of wine, Jigong sighs heavily and says, drinking this boring wine is no fun.
And that is the hook.
Okay, let's unpack this, because here's where the story takes a massive pivot. The prime minister asks what would make it fun.
And Jigong suggests they play a game to pass the time.
Riddles, drinking games, matching couplets, or analyzing characters. And the prime minister, who is highly educated and immensely proud of his intellect, asks if the monk can even read.
Which is such an arrogant question.
Oh, totally. And Jigong humbly, almost shyly, says, I know a word or two.
This is the classic setup of a hustler.
The hustle.
Yeah, Jigong intentionally downplays his own abilities to draw the mark in. He presents himself as an amateur to lower the prime minister's defenses.
And then he sets the stakes, which are astronomically high.
Astronomically high.
Jigong says, let's make a wager. If you give me a phrase and I can match it perfectly, I win 10,000 taels of silver from you. If I can't match it, I lose 10,000 taels.
To put that in perspective for you listening, 10,000 taels of silver is an absurd, life-changing fortune.
It's the kind of money that could build an estate.
Right.
But then Jigong points out the obvious flaw in his own wager. He says, I'm a poor monk. I don't have 10,000 taels of silver. So if I lose, you get the legal right to tear down my great still pavilion.
This raises a profoundly important question about Jigong's strategy.
Yeah, because it feels insane.
Right. He is essentially risking the entire geopolitical goal he just fought tooth and nail for, the safety of his temple's pavilion, on his ability to win parlor games against a highly educated, wealthy prime minister.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He just forced the army to back off, and now he's putting the temple right back on the chopping block just to play word games.
It seems like madness.
It seems incredibly reckless. Why risk the temple when you've already won?
It seems reckless until you realize it's a calculated shift in the domain of conflict.
Okay, tell me more.
Earlier, the conflict was in the physical military domain, which is a domain the prime minister ultimately controls. Even though Qin withdrew the troops, he still has them.
They are still out there.
Right. By proposing this wager, Jigong moves the battle to the intellectual and linguistic domain. He knows the prime minister's intellectual pride won't let him refuse a scholarly challenge from a ragged monk.
Especially when the prize is exactly what the prime minister secretly wanted all along.
Exactly. The legal, indisputable right to destroy the pavilion without losing face.
The prime minister is thrilled by the offer. The text says he is very happy. He thinks, perfect, I'll test his literacy, crush him in a poetry battle to prove my superiority, and then I can legally demolish his building without looking like a tyrant who broke his word.
He thinks it's a guaranteed win.
So the linguistic duel begins.
And the prime minister decides to start simple, to test the waters and gauge the monk's actual literacy.
Right.
He offers a basic two-character phrase. He says, quiet study.
And Jigong instantly counters with the matching environment. He says, thatched hut.
Qin nods, realizing the monk understands the structure. So he pushes a bit further, adding action. He says, open window.
Jigong fires back, closed door.
Qin says, read books.
Jigong says, write characters.
It's rapid fire.
And then the prime minister thinks he has a clever checkmate. He says, aha, I win. If you put all 6 of my individual words together, they form a complete logical sentence. Quiet study, open window, read books.
The prime minister relies on his formal, rigid education. He assumes the monk is just blindly matching individual words without seeing the larger structural picture.
He thinks he's trapped him in a grammatical corner.
But Jigong immediately demonstrates his mastery of the form.
He really does.
He says, my 6 words also make a complete sentence. Thatched hut, closed door, right characters.
It matches perfectly, structural, grammatically, logically.
Flawless.
So the prime minister realizes he's not dealing with an amateur. He decides to significantly up the difficulty. He says, okay, let's play a character-splitting game.
Now, if you are listening to this and you aren't familiar with written Chinese, we really need to break this down.
Yes, please do, because it relies entirely on the visual structure of Chinese characters.
Right. To understand the brilliance of this game, you have to visualize how Chinese characters are composed. They aren't just letters. They're often made up of smaller sub-characters called radicals that bring their own meaning.
Okay.
So the prime minister creates a highly elegant, poetic structure. He says the character for drunk is visually made up of a part that looks like an ancient wine vessel and the character for his servant or soldier.
Got it.
Then he takes the character for sleep, which is visually made of the character for an eye and the character for hanging down.
So he splits these characters apart visually, like taking apart Lego blocks, and uses those pieces to describe a famous historical scene.
Right.
He says, Li Tai-bai, holding a wine jar, sleeps on the hillside. We do not know if he is drunk. We do not know if he is asleep.
It's a beautiful, sophisticated reference to a legendary poet.
It's highbrow, elite poetry that requires a deep knowledge of literature to appreciate.
And this is exactly where Jigong's tactical genius shines.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
Because he takes this elegant, highbrow structural framework and aggressively drags it down into the mud.
He accepts the structural challenge of splitting characters, right?
Yes, but he changes the subject matter to something deeply insulting and violently personal.
Jigong takes a slow drink of wine, laughs, and says, "Oh, that's easy to match." He takes the character for bloated or swollen.
And to paint a picture for you, this character is made of a radical, meaning moon or flesh, and the character for long.
Right. Then he takes the character for fat, which is also made of the flesh radical, and the character for half.
The mechanics of the joke are absolutely flawless. He perfectly mimics the Prime Minister's grammatical structure and visual deconstruction.
But instead of the elegant historical poet Li Taibai resting on a scenic hillside,
Right.
Jigong applies these broken-down characters to the Prime Minister's own wife.
It is wild.
He says Madam Qin, holding her big belly, wanders all over the courtyard. We do not know if she is bloated. We do not know if she is fat.
This is just so disrespectful.
I mean, he is sitting at the guy's own dining table, eating his expensive food, and calling his wife fat and bloated right to his face. I'm struggling to understand the risk here.
It is huge.
Even if he wins the word game, couldn't the Prime Minister just say, "That's it, off with his head"?
It is an incredibly dangerous gamble, but it serves a very specific psychological purpose.
Which is what?
The Prime Minister is trying to maintain a sense of elite decorum and superiority. He wants to win a polite academic poetry contest to validate his ego.
He wants to feel smart.
Right. Jigong shatters that decorum. He forces the Prime Minister out of his comfortable, refined intellectual space and drags him into a street brawl of insults.
He proves that the Prime Minister's refined tools can be used to humiliate him in his own home.
And it completely works. The text says the Prime Minister is waving his hands frantically, begging the monk, please stop being so facetious, stop being so naughty.
He completely loses his elite composure. He is flustered, embarrassed, and entirely off balance.
Which is exactly what Jigong wanted.
He's playing him like a fiddle.
The Prime Minister is now angry and desperate to prove his superiority. He thinks to himself, this monk is too naughty. I need to show him that I am a Prime Minister full of literature and brilliant prose.
So he decides to bring out the heavy artillery.
He abandons the polite parlor games and escalates the poetry into incredibly dangerous political territory.
This is game 3. The Prime Minister offers a power play couplet. He says, Buddha unties the silk cord, ties the monk, and binds the crazy monk.
We really need to analyze the immense weight of this couplet.
It feels very threatening.
It is. The Prime Minister is using the image of the Buddha, the ultimate spiritual authority in Jigong's world, to assert absolute dominance over him.
Right.
He's essentially saying, even the highest power in your own religion would bind you and lock you up. It's a direct, mocking reference to the physical chains Jigong was wearing just an hour earlier.
Wow, so it is a terrifying assertion of absolute structural control.
Yes.
And Jigong hears this, and he plays the hustle again.
He acts intimidated.
He shrinks back and says, "Oh, wow, Your Excellency, that is a really good couplet. My talent is shallow, my learning is thin."
He is deliberately baiting the trap. He wants the Prime Minister to commit fully to this line of attack.
The Prime Minister smells blood in the water. He says, "If you match it, I owe you another 10,000 taels. If you can't, I tear down your pavilion."
And Jigong just says, okay.
He takes a sip of wine, and then he delivers what is essentially a political kill shot.
Jigong matches the rhythmic and grammatical structure perfectly, but he raises the stakes to the highest possible secular authority.
Right.
He counters with, the emperor shakes the jade lock, seizes the minister, and captures the Prime Minister.
That is heavy. Qin used the Buddha to threaten a monk. Jigong uses the emperor to threaten the Prime Minister.
The brilliance here is the brutal reminder of hierarchy.
Tell me about it.
Well, the Prime Minister has been acting like a god in his own domain, right?
Yeah.
Throwing people in chains, ordering armies around, threatening to demolish temples.
He's throwing his weight around.
Right. Jigong's couplet is a stark, terrifying reminder. He's saying, you are not at the top of the food chain. You are just a servant to the emperor.
Right.
If you abuse your power over me today, who is to say the emperor won't decide to put a jade lock on your neck tomorrow?
That is a fascinating way to look at it.
Yeah.
He's using the Prime Minister's own systemic power against him by reminding him that the system goes higher than him.
Exactly.
And the Prime Minister realizes he is completely beaten. He thinks to himself, this monk is full of rare talent. I cannot beat him at couplets.
It seems like his rigid, formal education is actually a massive disadvantage against Jigong's street-smart, flexible thinking.
Exactly. The Prime Minister's education has taught him how to enforce the rules of the game. Jigong's genius is that he understands those rules perfectly, but he refuses to be bound by them.
He exploits the rigidity of the rulemaker.
But the prime minister is stubborn. I mean, his ego won't let it end here. He refuses to give up.
He just can't take the loss.
He says, okay, no more couplets. Let's do a logic and drinking game. And he sets highly specific, convoluted parameter.
Very convoluted.
He says, you have to name 2 ancient historical figures and 2 objects. The figures must have the same kind of face, do the same kind of activity, and land on the 2 objects, one of which must be alive and one of which must be dead.
This is a highly restrictive, almost mathematical logical puzzle.
Like a weird SAT question.
Yeah, and the prime minister gives his own example first to set the standard and prove it can be done. He says, look afar at a pavilion, look closely at a cow. Lu Dongbin drunkenly sleeps in Yuyang Pavilion. Sun Bin on crutches rides a cow.
Okay, so it fits the rules. Lu Dongbin and Sun Bin are the ancient figures. The pavilion is the dead object. The cow is the living object.
Right.
So it's Jigong's turn. And Jigong answers, look afar at a thatched hut. Look closely at a fish. Zhang Fei visits the thatched hut. Jingde fishes.
And the prime minister immediately pounces. He thinks he's finally caught the monk making a fatal logical error.
He's so excited.
He says, you lose. You owe me 10,000 taels. Zhang Fei visiting the thatched hut makes sense. But Jingde fishing, you said they had to land on the objects.
Right.
A fish doesn't have legs. How can you ride or land on a fish?
So the prime minister is being a strict literalist. He's clinging to the exact spirit of the rules he created.
Exactly.
But Jigong just looks at him, totally unbothered, and says, a soft-shell turtle, a jiayu, has 4 legs, doesn't it?
It is a devastating linguistic loophole.
Wait, explain that.
Well, in Chinese, the soft-shell turtle is called jiayu, which literally contains the word for fish, yu.
Oh, wow.
So linguistically, categorically, it is a fish, but physically it has 4 legs.
That is so clever.
Jigong doesn't play by the intended spirit of the prime minister's rules. He bends the literal definition of the words to spring a trap. He weaponizes the ambiguity of language.
And the prime minister is just speechless. He has no counter-argument to that. He has to concede again. He has lost every single intellectual battle, fair and square.
Every single one.
He tried vocabulary, he tried poetry, he tried logic, and the monk humiliated him every single time. So, what does a desperate, powerful man do when he realizes the rules are failing him?
He completely abandons them.
He does. He decides to cheat.
Precisely.
We see this so clearly in the next move. The prime minister is furious. He walks out of the room and pulls aside his trusted servant, Qinan. He hatches a plot.
A very petty plot.
He tells Qinan, go get a serving box and some cold cakes. Wait outside the door. I am going to ask the monk to use his magical foresight to guess if the box is empty or full.
The prime minister is setting up an impossible rigged scenario.
Yeah, because he tells the servant, if the monk guesses the box is empty, you quickly put the cakes inside and bring it in.
And if he guesses the box is full, you leave it empty and bring it in.
It is a blatant cheat designed to guarantee the monk is wrong no matter what answer he gives. It's a binary trap.
The prime minister goes back inside, feeling very smug. He says, Monk, I hear you can magically calculate the past and the future.
He's taunting him.
Yeah, he says, I've sent my servant for a box. Tell me, is there something inside it or not? If you guess right, I pay you. If you guess wrong, I tear down your pavilion.
Notice how the prime minister keeps returning to his ultimate goal, the destruction of the pavilion. Even after losing repeatedly, his core desire is to exercise his destructive power.
He even asks the monk, are you desperate from losing? He's projecting his own intense desperation onto Jigong.
Right. And Jigong takes another sip of wine. He knows exactly what is happening. He knows the game is rigged against him.
So he uses the only weapon he has left, timing.
Right. He stretches his voice out and says slowly and loudly, Prime Minister Qin's idea is very clever. This matter is truly strange and wonderful. The serving box is an empty thing.
And here we see the masterstroke of psychological manipulation. By saying the box is an empty thing loudly and slowly, he is giving a direct audio cue to the servant waiting outside the door.
Oh, because the servant is just following instructions.
Exactly. The servant, Qinan, hears the monk guess empty, so he dutifully follows his master's orders. He puts the cold cakes into the box and walks through the door.
And the second the servant steps into the room with the cakes in the box, Jigong finishes his sentence. He says, but inside, it is filled with cold cake.
It is absolute genius.
It is so cool.
Jigong doesn't try to guess a fixed reality. He uses his cadence and speech to force the servant's physical actions in real time. He dictates the reality he needs to win.
Think of it like a hacker bypassing a firewall, right?
That's a perfect analogy.
Qinen built an inescapable binary trap. 0 or 1, empty or full. Jigong didn't try to guess the code, he just used the servant's programming against the system to alter the physical outcome in real time.
The Prime Minister thought he had constructed an inescapable trap.
But Jigong bypassed the Prime Minister entirely and manipulated the mechanics of the cheat to guarantee his own victory.
And with that, the absolute psychological collapse of Prime Minister Qin is complete.
He is broken.
He tried to use his formal education, his poetic skill, his logical puzzles, and finally outright cheating in collusion with his staff. And the destitute monk beat him at every single turn, in his own house in front of his own people.
Having thoroughly humiliated the highest official in the land, having won tens of thousands of taels of silver, and having permanently secured the safety of his temple, Jigong casually puts down his chopsticks.
Like it's no big deal.
He says, okay, I'm full now. Did you guys find my medicine?
We are finally returning to the original crisis.
Right, the dying kid. The servants admit they have been crawling on the floor with their noses in the dirt for hours, but they couldn't find the invisible melon-colored pill.
So Jigong just reaches into his pocket, the exact same pocket he claimed was empty earlier, and magically produces a packet of powder. He hands it over.
Dr. Li Huaichun, who has been sweating through this entire hours-long ordeal, opens the packet, and he realizes it's just ordinary white baking flour.
The doctor asks what it is, and Jigong gives it this incredibly fake, mystical-sounding, multisyllabic Buddhist name.
Oh, right. Boluo powder.
It is pure linguistic gibberish designed to sound profound to an elite audience that values complex terminology over actual substance.
The Prime Minister asks what else is needed, and Jigong's prescription is the most absurd thing yet.
It really is.
He demands 1 ounce of cinnabar, which is a bright red mineral pigment used in art, 4 ounces of white flour, a box of boiling water, and a brush. Wait, a brush. Boiling water, flour, and red paint. I'm trying to picture this. Is he going to bake the kid's head? Or paint it?
If we look closely at these ingredients, they have absolutely no medicinal value, especially compared to the complex herbal remedies and meridians of traditional Chinese medicine.
Right, it's just baking stuff.
Flour and boiling water make paste. Cinnabar is pigment. He is literally asking for the ingredients to make red papier-mâché or thick paint.
That is wild.
This is the ultimate synthesis of Jigong's method. By using nonsense words and household baking supplies, he's making a total mockery of the entire institution of elite medicine, represented by the terrified Dr. Li Huaichun and the elite society that relies on it.
He's not brewing a complex herbal tea, he's gathering art supplies. The suspense at this point in the text is at its absolute peak.
It really leaves you wanting more.
The text literally leaves us hanging right as they walk into the study with a bowl of red paste and a brush to cure the Prime Minister's violent son.